everyone. I think I'm used to being live and not live yet. So
You're live. The little red things in the corner. You're good.
Just like the little on-air sign being on.
There it is.
Yes.
So welcome everyone. This is my third live video in the last 4 weeks. So I'm on a pretty good pace so far. Hopefully I can keep this up. But yeah, if you saw on social media or heard me talking about it, we're gonna be doing our top 5 non-comic book related movie trilogies. Trilogies are hard.
Maybe for some people, Mike. We're going to talk about Mike's issue with trilogies throughout this list.
And the people that will be talking me through these crazy trilogies and what counts as a trilogy, what counts as not a trilogy. I've got Chris V coming back back-to-back weeks after our Beatles discussion. Chris, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I'm okay.
And then we got Chinmo coming back. Chin, how's it going, buddy?
Hey man, thanks for having me again. I had a blast last time I was on, so more movies. I'm here.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. And then we got some fun ideas for the future, but yeah, so originally, before we get into a lot of the backstage drama of this, originally I thought about doing best comic book movie franchises that are at least 3 or more. And then I remembered there's a movie called Deadpool 3 coming out this year. So I figured we could wait till that comes out. That's in the summer. So then I thought maybe stick at the trilogies but still kind of keep the comic book idea. But then when I brought this up this week, one of us was like, maybe, we could do that. We could just save that all to Deadpool 3 and just do non-comic book. We had a group chat created in the through our phones, and then we decided to leave comic books out of it completely. And just do movie trilogies. And once again, movie, non-comic book related trilogies can be difficult. Before we get into our top 5s, I highlighted some of the comments, but John Big Daddy Ross, thanks for tuning in. CT Jazz King and Guy. I lived that basketball life, as a kid growing up, so I totally understand. But as always, I appreciate you're always tuning into these. And I believe you are a moderator now. I kind of added some wrenches for potential people in chats. So
promotions going around, just handing them
out. There'll be a lot of head shaking by the vibe I was able to get during our texting and pre-show conversations. I think there's going to be a lot of head shaking, probably more than head nodding. So probably all directed towards me. But when you're the host, you got to carry a lot of weight on your shoulder. It's my cross to carry.
Wow.
So I'm willing to accept all criticisms, and maybe I'll disprove some of them where I come out on top. But anywho, why don't we get this thing started? Chin, do you need me to load up a certain slide or so?
You just have to share that screen, and I can do the rest.
Bang.
As you can tell, it's my lovely lot of effort put into slideshow because I had a total of maybe 30 minutes to not find pictures and make this. So hope you guys enjoy.
I think you did a stand-up job, Jen.
Thank you.
Stand-up job.
Thank you.
And so unlike the Beatles that me and Chris did last week, we did the point system. I'm kind of stuck for that, but that's because one of the podcasts I listen to kind of uses that. But we talked about it, and just because there could be a vast possibilities of top 5, so I figured we'll do how we did Chin and Chris, more so brought this to my attention that we were going to do it how we did our top movies of 2023. Chin, we're going to have our slides of our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and a lot of discussions along the way. And not that many duplicates. Chin was telling us, so I'm excited to see where this goes. Chin
there are some duplicates, just not so higher
towards
up.
the end.
Yes.
And Chris and I are very anxious because Chin did not share his top 3 like we did
Yeah, I'm
with him.
excited for it.
So that I love going into something not knowing all the outcomes. So this should
You
be
get
fun.
you got to leave some mystery. It's like the one advantage I have to making the slide. I'm like, they don't know what I'm putting.
And although that slide is up, a couple quick housekeeping things, and maybe allow some more people to trickle in. So I'm at 201 subscribers now. So please, everyone, if anyone's tuning in, please hit that subscription button, the notify, the bell, comment, share, and that'd be awesome. Just trying to grow the channel a little bit more. I've been being so far consistent with putting out some live content. I know that helps the algorithm and whatnot that I don't understand. Although I downloaded the YouTube Studio app to help me realize how that works. I still don't get it. But yeah, so please share this out, subscribe if you haven't, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your town councilman, and yeah, it's a good way to stay in shape. And
Miles, did you get
that's
that?
all I got to say about that.
Did you get that, Miles? Like,
Tell your dog. Tell your dog.
subscribe. That lazy
Studies show
bastard.
that cats and dogs are watching television.
We were just talking about that. Like when you walked away for a hot second.
I always thought Christmas Carol could use a dormouse or dormice.
I mean,
that's a reference.
Muppets Christmas Carol. That's all you're gonna watch. All you
Yep.
gotta watch.
You know what Christmas? Sorry, because now we're talking about Christmas movies. You know which one I re-stumbled upon that I completely forgot? Growing up as a kid, there was the Night Before Christmas, the ABC Family Special. I mean, it was still the Raskin and Boss. Is that how you Raskin and Boss?
Rankin and Boss.
Rankin and Boss.
Bass.
Christmas
Yeah.
Bass. Yeah, I think it's whatever.
R&B.
Christmas special R&B of like the cartoon adaptation of the story Night Before Christmas, and it was all through the telling of like house mice, like helping like the narrator of the book like tell its story. Completely forgot that existed until I bought a DVD box of the R&B films. Because like Aileen and I are like we can't find them anywhere that's not like $10 for a rental, or like because we don't have cable for Freeform, so it's like we can't do the 25 Days of Christmas anymore like we used to.
It's a pain.
But just want to throw that out there. There is an adaptation of Night Before Christmas with mice.
I actually just did with the first girlfriend of comics this past holiday season for the first time. 25 Days of Christmas, each day a new Christmas movie. And yeah, it's finding things that are on the various streaming services, and we pretty much have most of them. And those classic R&B ones are like you have to pay or rent or so it was tough. But anywho, 8 minutes in, let's start this gosh darn top 5 trilogies of all time non-comic book.
I'm gonna get you to swear. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You and your gosh darn attitude over there. Can't wait. All right, now let's jump into it. Number 5. Going right in. Boom. There's the number 5 picks.
So should I start this one or should I go last here?
Your show, man.
You're already talking.
So I'm gonna start this off with the Scream franchise. I want to include a horror franchise. Now, semantics aside, I may have not had this in my original top 5, but it's all semantics and politics.
We'll get to that.
With the Scream franchise and why trilogies are tough. Now, obviously, Scream is now 5 deep, 6 deep. And we kind of had a talk amongst ourselves where, a trilogy, what is a trilogy? Some may ask. But Scream 1, 2, and 3 is a perfect, start to finish. The way 3 ends, it does literally close the door gate on that trilogy, on that franchise. So that's why I figured I wanted to include a horror franchise. All the other ones get kind of messy and aren't really true trilogies. They just keep going. So why I chose Scream, The first one is in my top not only horror movies of all time.
Yeah, guy.
And,
Now we're talking.
But one of my all-time favorite movies of all time. They did the ultimate rope-a-dope. Potential spoilers, but as you see in the little picture there, Drew Barrymore's front and center in the in that poster. She gets killed in the opening scene, and
Bold
the way
move.
they do it. We introduce Ghostface, and a cool concept is he calls her and asks her horror movie trivia, which has never been done before. This is one of the first meta horror movies, and you get them right, you live. You get them wrong, maybe the opposite. And it's just that opening scene, just the tension and the anxiety you're feeling for her, and how that whole thing goes. And then after the opening scene, you're introduced to Nev Campbell for the first time for a lot of people. And this movie is a true 90s movie, like the sets, the feel, the high school, but in the cast, the clothing. But it's just an awesome, inviting cast of characters, relatable. You have Matthew Lillard.
MVP of that movie.
Oh, it's maybe one of the best finales, like ultimate crescendos in a movie. Just what Lillard and Skeet Ulrich do towards the end of that movie. So it's just the first one. And then you got, oh my God, Courtney Cox, who was also still filming Friends at the time. So you have Courtney Cox when she was in her prime of her career. You have David Arquette, prime right before his true prime of his career.
Ready to Rumble is his prime.
I will defend that movie.
I love that movie.
Farting nuns. Singing Running with the Devil. And then you have oh my God, what's her name? She was the friend, she played Tatum. She was in Blade 3. What's her name?
Rose McGowan.
Rose McGowan. And then oh my God, I feel terrible. What's his name? The Randy. Didn't have a great career.
Jamie Kennedy.
Yes. Just that group of actors, what I'm trying to say is the chemistry was so well. So that's what kept you into it. And I'm a sucker for a whodunit movie. And that's one of the best, I think, mystery movies of all time. One of the best true slashes of all time. And I'm a sucker for iconic horror movie characters and their looks. And what's more, Ghostface, one of the more iconic horror icons. That's one without spoiling too much. How do you top that movie? You go into Scream 2, you go from the high school setting into the college setting. You introduce a theater element, literally. Nev Campbell, Sidney Prescott, she joins theater. Chris and I both did theater throughout our lives, and you bring in a bigger environment. You bring a Ghostface back, and you have another awesome whodunit, and you're left guessing. You have more big names in there, and I go back and forth between 1 and 2. One's probably my favorite, but 2 it's hard, especially in the horror at that time too. To follow up an awesome first movie. Scream 2, I think, is an awesome follow up. Scream 3 for the longest time was the weakest in the franchise. It's still, to some might be, to some maybe, but you look at how that trilogy, once I said from start to finish, without going too much into it, it gets a really meta because as the Scream movies are going on, there's also a movie about what really happened to them going on, the Stab movies. So it takes place on the set in Hollywood of the latest Stab movie. So it gets a little too meta at times, and there's a couple other things they tackle, which are really, really relevant today. But how that franchise ends. But because of the quality of 3, that is why that ranked at my number 5. Sorry, I kind of went long-winded on that, but if you guys want to comment on that, and then, or if we could just go to Chris with his number 5, I'll let you guys decide while I read the chat.
Well, I mean, like, me about Scream. It's my favorite horror franchise, like, of all time, and 3 in particular, for like Scream 3 was like one of those, like I putting on my own list of like between that and 4, like they always swap because they kind of had the same vibe. They kind of had the same like level of like, okay, where is this going to go? Like there was just no like direction for both those films besides like here's Ghostface. He's connected to Nev Campbell's character in some shape or form. What are we going to do with that? But yeah, I wanted to put this on my list originally, but there was only there was another horror franchise that had to surpass it for sure. But love the original 3. I have nothing but good things to say about them.
I did the scream face. I've actually seen these movies, even though they're scary. I don't do scary movies. I especially don't do slashers. There's a reason I can handle the Scream movies. I'm not going to dive into that now. Especially that first one.
So good.
Absolutely incredible. Great movie. Loved it. And yeah, I will say, disclaimer going forward, some people are going to really like these lists. Some people maybe not so much. It is very tough when you're coming to a top 5. Honorable mentions, there's a whole bunch. And like, I know, Guy, I'm going to tell you right now, man, I know for a fact your favorite trilogy is not on this list, so I apologize. But you know, it's everybody's personal opinion. We're here to have fun.
Yeah. And please, you know, to quickly feel free. I love the chats, how they've been so far in these live videos. Keep on commenting, ask us questions, put your opinions in. I'll highlight them. And speaking of that, a couple others. Dylan, my good friend from Southern, another big movie and wrestling and sports fan. So thanks for tuning in. I'm happy to have you here. And then Jesse Planet Mayhem, thanks for tuning in as well again. And yeah, guys, keep the comments coming. Keep asking us, throwing us questions as the show goes along. Chris, go into your number 5.
Yeah, I am a sucker for any animated film. I'm actually kind of happy that someone made a comment about Toy Story because it was a toss between Toy Story and How to Train Your Dragons. But I am a sucker for like personal growth stories. I ever since I was a kid, I always wanted a dragon. Like they just put both of my favorite things into one movie trilogy, especially because like you're trying to live up to a father, like, you know, a godlike father figure in this world, right? Like Hiccup is potentially going to be the next, you know, head Viking for his tribe, and like he doesn't want to be that. He wants to be his own. He wants to try to find him, you know, try to be more of himself, right? Like and he, weirdly enough, he found that through befriending a dragon, when their whole thing is like, no, dragons are bad, dragons are evil. Like we have to kill every single dragon possible. And of course he becomes friends with one of the most powerful ones in the world, right? Like it's
Night Fury for the win.
Night Fury for the win, man. Especially like the second one got me so hyped when he like popped open his scales and like he's getting that whole just like Super Saiyan thing going on. Yeah. I'm like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. But like I love these films because of how much Hiccup grows throughout every single one. He finds his voice in the first film. In the second film, he learns about tragedy, loss, and commitment to his people. And then with the third film, it just combines all of that together, and you see how amazing of a person and a leader Hiccup has become. And then there's also dragons. Like you can't hate you can't hate the films, and the music score alone is amazing. Mm-hmm. I've always told Aileen, if there's any choice I get to pick between our wedding song of when we're walking down the aisle, it's either the flying theme for this film, or it's
Holla Batgirl.
Yeah, Holla Batgirl, or the Hobbit song like what was it called? What's it called? Something
Taking the
Hobbits.
Hobbits to Isengard.
Yes. But you know what I'm talking about. The
Shire.
Yeah, the Shire. Yeah.
That's literally what the song's called, The Shire.
Yeah. No, I thought it was called Concerning Hobbits. That's what it's called.
Oh.
Concerning Hobbits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my number 5.
All right, solid pick. If you haven't seen those movies, do yourself a favor. They're incredible. I know a lot of people, oh, it's animated, it's for kids. No, it's not. It's one of the most heartfelt stories you will ever watch.
It's probably the first time. If you haven't already, people have gotten mad at me. I have not seen any of these movies. If they came out like 10, maybe even 5 years prior, probably. But when I got to like a certain age, I was that cool, tough guy. Animated movies are for kids.
I'm too cool for.
I'm too cool.
Animated shows. I don't like anime. Anime's for nerds.
Give me WWE. I want to see grown men fight each other, half naked. But
Benson, I think you should just watch some anime because it has all the things that you love. Also, instead of half naked men, it's the other thing. It's men, but they don't look like men.
But I love dragons, so this is one that I really should watch and get into. But yeah, I have unfortunately very little to say on this, but I always remember watching trailers and the animation looked cool and dragons is cool. So I'm not opposed to seeing.
Yeah, they're on Netflix right now, so you should take your opportunity to watch them on Netflix.
I just love how big of a deep breath you took. Where you're like, all right, I'm gonna have to say this a few times, guys. I haven't seen this.
Yeah,
and that's cool. It happens, Not everybody's seen everything,
That's not true, Chin.
I will say before we were even making this list, it was going to be a top 10, and we decided time-wise, stuff like that, top 5 works, and we're gonna really talk about it when we get to choice number 3. But Mike had a real hard time with this list.
Yeah,
I said they're hard. Yeah. I opened this video saying trilogies are hard.
Yeah. Anyway, my number 5. Indiana Jones. What's up, Nigel? Hey. I'm talking the original 3. Don't get me wrong. I, enjoy Dial of Destiny. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is, I think, better than most people remember. But the first 3, I love a good. I mean, who doesn't love Harrison Ford? But I mean, you got a great adventure films. They're funny. They're so good, and I mean, Temple of Doom is half the reason why we have a PG-13 rating.
Yeah,
that is a PG movie. It's bananas that is a PG-13 movie. PG movie, I should say. But even if I'm going into it, yeah, Temple of Doom might be the kind of weaker of the 3. Still very enjoyable. I think Raiders is arguably one of the best films ever made. And although I think Raiders is a better movie, my personal favorite is Last Crusade. I love the banter with Connery and Ford.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. Adds so much humor to it. These are movies that if they were on, or I'm just like, oh man, I don't know what to watch. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me throw on one of the indie films. They're just a good time. And they're so entertaining. They're very, I guess nostalgic for a lot of people too, but that theme, that John Williams theme kicks in. You're like, I want to go on an adventure. Let's do this. What tomb are we robbing? What kind of crazy boulder are we going to get chased by? I love it. I love them. Great films. That's all I have to say.
The third one also had what's his name? The young kid in the beginning was
Short Round, man.
No. The third film. What's it? The Last Crusade.
Oh, River Phoenix.
River Phoenix. Yeah. That was a couple years after he just did Stand By Me.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I actually find it funny. One of my good friends, small tangent, hates that scene, and he makes a really good case for it. I personally enjoy it, but he hates it because in the span of 6-7 minutes, however long the whole scene goes,
Mhm.
we get an answer for almost all of Indy's characteristics. We get why he gets the hat. We understand why he has the scar, why he uses a whip, all within like 5 minutes. And I was like, I get that, but you know what? I think it's still fun and enjoyable.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
nice to see a little like background of like the
Oh,
character.
yeah.
That scene, like, I don't mind bugs, but that scene, oh,
The bugs, they do the rats. The snake
Yeah.
joke will never get old, in my
Snakes.
opinion.
Yeah.
I love the snake joke. It kills me every time. And I even love like just the like dry like was it? It's in Last Crusade when they're down in the tomb underneath like the library, and there's a picture of the Ark of the Covenant on the wall. He's like, "It's the Ark of the Covenant. Are you sure?" I'm pretty sure. Like just quick little dry references. I always enjoy that.
This was an honorable mention for me, and that's trilogies are hard. Take a drink every time I say that. Just the John Williams score is, there's very few composers that come close to him when you're talking movie scores. Just that, and then you have just the iconic The Boulder, the Jocks Start the Plane. It's just Raiders of the Lost Ark is such a fun adventure ride. And Temple of Doom, which a lot of the movies, a lot of the trilogies, it's kind of a theme, or used to be. The second film kind of always tends to go darker. And
They did.
I know Chin will correct me. What's it? The Taliman, when they take the guy's heart out of
Kalima. Yeah.
So it's just like, I remember, I
Gruesome.
think I was like, I watched that, because my grandmother loves Harrison Ford. So like, she loved the Indiana Jones movie. So I remember watching those with her, and like watching that scene, with grandparents is, and she was, my grandmother loved the movies, loves the movies. So I remember and I had a pretty good, even though I was scared easily, maybe because I just loved Harrison Ford so much, I knew nothing bad was going to happen to him. That
He's gonna
didn't bother
save
me
me.
as much as
It's okay.
but and then like you said, it's probably between 1 and 3 for my favorite. The banter between him and Sean Connery. We named the dog Indiana, so it's
I love that
yeah.
joke.
and then the three of them, that ends, just like I said, Scream 3 ends with Sidney closing the door. Ends with them riding off on horses into the sunset. You can't beat that. So it's such, Harrison Ford. How do you top Star Wars, the trilogy? We'll get to that later, maybe.
Well, there's an answer to that question.
Yeah.
Harrison. How do you top Harrison Ford? You go to someone like Indiana Jones, and he embodied that character and made it his own and iconic. I hope we never get Christopher Pratt playing Indiana Jones.
Christopher Pratt.
But yeah, that's I think that's all I got to say about that.
Cool.
All right. Are we going?
Let's see. Just catching up on some
choice 4.
Yeah.
He's come around a lot to Star Wars, though. In his older age, he's come around quite a bit to it, and it makes me very happy.
Alrighty, let's go to number 4, and Chris, start us off with yours.
Sure. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, this blew my mind.
Yeah, the fact that I put it down so low, or the fact that like you're talking about the Shaun of the Dead franchises over there.
Oh no, I love my pick, and I love your pick. I just hate where it's at.
I didn't think about this.
It was very, very, very hard. I didn't want to put it at number 4, but compared to the other films I have on my list, I had no choice.
You had a choice.
We all had a choice.
Yes, we all had a choice. I really didn't know where to put this. I was telling you guys earlier, like I had a very tough time figuring out like which one my 4 through 2 were going to be placed, because like they were all kind of like in the same, like they're all so good, but I just don't know which one is which. But I had to put Star Wars at number 4, the original trilogy.
It's on your list. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean it has to be for me. Like I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Like every time, like when I was a kid growing up with my family friends, like I literally say like because when we were kids, like we would watch movies like when the parents would like go off and play like their card games or whatever, and like we would get a giant book of like just the DVDs that they've collected throughout the years, and I was the only one in like the core that'd be like, no, we're watching Star Wars, and we're watching the first one today. Next time we come over next week, we're watching number 4 or number 5. Then we're watching number 6 next week. Like I would force them to go through every single Star Wars movie. But and the original trilogy just has a place in my heart where like this is the one, if I see on TV, I would always stop and I would watch it. Like if there's nothing else on TV that I can't find to watch, like I would throw this on. This is also like the movie I fall asleep to. Like I know it well enough where like it just, I could wake up in the middle of the movie and know exactly where we are, and then still continue to enjoy and loving it. And like I'm a huge movie score guy, and we talked about John Williams already, and like this is probably the best score that he's ever written. Occasionally I will throw it on just in the background just to hear the music.
I listen to it. I literally have a whole playlist of just scores, and about 90% of it's John Williams.
Yeah, I believe you. For sure. I believe for sure. But like it killed me putting at number 4, but I had to put it number 4. But everything about the films, like we're going to talk about, you guys are definitely going to talk about it more, I would assume, and like that's it. It's great. It's Star Wars. Like
trust me, we will be talking more about this franchise and this trilogy specifically.
Yeah,
because it's
specifically
so good. So
I mean, like a young Mark Hamill, man, a young Harrison Ford.
At them at any age.
Like,
I'll take them at any age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be talking more about Star Wars. I'm going to hold my opinions because I love Star Wars. So we'll talk about it.
I'm actually really excited to hear what you're about to say. I forgot these are like a trilogy for you.
Chin's been getting some more heat than me. It makes me feel less under the fire in this one.
Hey man, I love Star Wars. I was just shocked by how it was only number 4. That's all I was saying.
Yeah.
But a good pull here, Chin. I didn't even think about this.
Yeah.
I love the Cornetto trilogy. It is Edgar Wright's. It starts with Shaun of the Dead, then Hot Fuzz, then World's End. It is him, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost. It is their take on horror, action, and sci-fi mixed with comedy. And each one is perfection. They do them so well, and they're just so frigging funny. I'm going to hold back, Mike. I'm going to try not to swear.
Fudging.
Yeah, they're so fudging funny. The cast is great. There's a ton of famous, like all their buddy, like Martin Freeman's in all of them. Bill Nighy, Rosamund Pike's in one. There's a bunch of them, but they're just so good. I honestly, it's hard to pick a favorite. I kind of lean towards Hot Fuzz just because of how crazy and over the top it is, and I love it. But Shaun of the Dead was so good. I've watched it so many times, and a lot of people give at World's End like, oh, it's like the bottom of the 3. If you go back and watch that, it is hands down one of the most cleverly written scripts of all time. They tell you the entire movie so quickly and how everything plays. It's so well done. So well done. But these movies, they're so good because not only are they like a take on horror, action, and sci-fi mixed with comedy just superbly, but then they're just great films. Like the story and how they develop, it's just so good. But yeah, that's what I had for my 4.
Dude, and honestly, Shaun of the Dead, probably one of the like top like zombie films there was like in the horror universe. Like
arguably
yes, Max, I was gonna say
arguably one of the best, if not the best, horror comedies too.
It'd be hard to beat.
I'll be honest, I've only seen Shaun of the Dead in this. I know these 3 movies are loved.
Are you serious?
But Shaun of the Dead is so good because I love comedies and I love horror, and there's some exceptions. But usually, if I'm going to choose a movie, I don't go towards something that's a mixing of the two. Shaun of the Dead was what kind of changed my mindset of that, because like just everything, pretty much everything you just said, the chemistry with the cast, the heart in them, the true horror aspects, and the comedy, it's all balanced so well.
Yeah, I love it. Carmine's comment. I love it. All you need is 2 junk men or 3 junk men.
That's basically what happened at the end of like World's End, right? Like they just all just got plastered.
I won't spoil any of these movies. Shaun of the Dead, very much, it's a zombie apocalypse. Hot Fuzz is about 2 police officers that take every bit of action movies that you love, especially like 90s action movies, and mix them in there. And the Hot Fuzz, then World's End is a bunch of guys on a bar crawl, and things get really sci-fi and weird, and it's just awesome.
Well, that was also like a take because of the Seth Rogen film came out around the same time. This Is the End or whatever it was called.
I think that's it's more of like a apocalypse kind of thing. This Is the End, much more of like a real like goofy kind of like thing. Granted, this is also goofy, but this was more of like a straight up like sci-fi.
I thought this was like their take on that.
Oh,
like, was their spoof on that?
No.
That movie just goes off the rails so fast. Like
that's a great movie. I love that movie.
There's some images you won't get out of your head if you've watched that movie.
That's fair.
Like Michael Cera getting impaled. Come on! Listen, it's been out for so long now.
It's just absurd.
Yeah, but no, World's End. Just the fact that they both came out around the same time and had the word "end" in the title, like prominently. Yeah, but yeah, no, this. Do yourselves a favor if you want a just good time watching a movie. Any 3 of them.
Yeah, especially Hot Fuzz and Shaun the Dead for sure.
Yeah, so good. All right, that's all I have to say.
Cool. Chin, why don't you bring us to 3 and kick it off?
Are you just not going to talk about your?
Oh Jesus! For Christ's sakes! How that's jeez.
We're going to really skip past Jurassic Park, one of the greatest movies of all time. I mean, I even wearing the shirt.
Oh,
short for you.
Ooh.
That's inexcusable. I apologize. Especially because I love dinosaurs so gosh darn much. I grew up. I could name every freaking dinosaur by the age of 4. Could I do 10 multiplied to the 10th power now? No. But Jurassic Park, and we've mentioned John Williams. We're probably still going to mention him throughout this video. Multiple just awesome tracks through his score, but I'm sure there were movies that came before this that featured dinosaurs, but the scale, I grew up with those before Jurassic Park. I honestly, because I think I don't know even where to begin with this franchise. These first 3 at least. The first movie, just wow, that's a top 10 all-time movie for me. The cast, Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm. You have Sam Neill's Dr. Grant, Laura Dern's
that was really good.
Dr. Sadler, Richard Attenborough as Dr. John Hammond. And Samuel L. Jackson. You've got
hold
Wayne
on to your
Knight.
butts.
It's just the cast is stacked, and once again, dinosaurs. Like Sam Neill's reaction to the first time they see it is like my reaction still. It's a dinosaur. It's a dinosaur.
You just pulled aliens, man. That's what you just pulled. That was great.
Ancient aliens. Look at you go.
And then T-Rex has always been my favorite, and the introduction to the T-Rex, the power goes out, the goat leg goes flying, and I could probably we got a T-Rex. So that's that movie I could probably quote from start to finish. So if you don't watch this movie with me, because I'll just end up quoting every line before it comes out. And then you've got like the Raptors, the one constant in the Jurassic Park movies, even World, which, the Raptors are still always one of the coolest elements of Jurassic Park, and the Raptors in the kitchen, being
That's
a
one of the
horror
best
fan,
scenes of all time. Scary, one of the scariest scenes of
mhm.
all time.
it was either Lifetime or A&E, or I forgot what network did top 100 horror movie moments of all time. Raptors in the Kitchen made that list, and and it was
Rightfully
pretty.
so.
It's just so good, and just it's so that's number one. I could gush about number one for a long time. Number two, so this story gets interesting, and why this I maybe didn't put Jurassic Park on my top 5.
You did.
Going back to horror, and as a kid when I was still scared easily, when it was like dinosaurs, maybe that's what shadowed the horror elements like that would scare most people. But it's just one T-Rex was a friend enough. How about a mommy and a daddy going after their baby that was stolen, and just the scenes with when the two T-Rexes, you have the RV trailer over the ledge. You have Vince Vaughn being a hero. Funny enough, Vince Vaughn was in an action movie like this in a serious role. Yeah, they're just terrifying. And then all the T-Rex chases. There's like the waterfall scene. The hippie looking guy is afraid of a snake and gets eaten by a T-Rex. It's just the T-Rexes are great for the first 2/3 of this movie.
Well, you didn't like them running through a city?
That's why this movie is like one of my least favorite. It's just the movie's so good, and I've never read the books. I know like the books kind of there's bits of all three and all the first 2 books or the 2 books. That's where the movie really loses for me. They did not need to take it to San Diego. There's ways around that. But probably my favorite scene is the Raptors, don't go into the tall grass. And the guy runs to the tall grass. But just like the overhead shot of the people walking through the tall grass, and you see the Raptors, and then just once again, I should have been terrified of that scene, but maybe because it was dinosaurs and I love dinosaurs. And just like, even though I'm completely against poaching, you have the whole scene where it's all the poachers are in there, and you just see these dinosaurs on screen for the first time. The Pachycephalosaurus, the hard-headed one. You see, the duck-billed dinosaurs. There's so much good stuff in these, and I'll catch up with the chat, but this is like, one of my talking about Jurassic Park and dinosaurs. I don't get to that much. I talk about how the third act loses it. Now, one of the hottest takes I have today, which people do not like Jurassic Park 3. I love Jurassic Park 3. That was the first Jurassic Park movie I saw in theaters. You had Sam Neill coming back. It was my introduction to William H. Macy and Tay Leone. And I was all in it. I remember the promoting for this movie, all the trailers. I had a ton of the toys, the T-shirts. People hated how the T-Rex was killed. The Spinosaurus was awesome, and that fight lived up. The Raptors, they developed the Raptors even more. The horn, and it's just, you have the pterodons. They got their true first time to shine in this franchise. I was on board. I was 10 when that came out. So I love Jurassic Park. Once again, I could keep going on and on and on. But what do you guys think about Jurassic Park?
So let Chris go first.
Oh!
You look back to say something. So
no, I have no words for Jurassic Park. It's great. I watch the first one regularly, like maybe once every other month. Yeah, it's fantastic. Do I agree that the third one is a good film? Yeah, honestly, because that one kept me more on edge, because it was like they're trying to find the son. So like they're willingly, like, knowing the circumstances of the island, going back, putting their lives at danger just to find this kid. If I was a parent and if I knew he fell on that island, I'd be like, oh, he's done for. He's gone. That's it. All right, hon, new kid.
Brutal.
It's like, look, I'm not going to go on the island to find my dumbass son for not listening to the instructors in the first place. That's basically what happened.
That pterodactyl scene is probably the best scene in that movie.
Dude, oh my God, yeah. Oh God, yeah. I might like the one that gets me on the edge is like literally when they boarded on the island, and like just the rumbles of the trees, like you hear like the footsteps coming of the Spinosaurus, just like about to make his move. Like that one scared me more than the raptors in the kitchen, in the first movie, because it was like just a slow build and anticipation for like all right, we're here, boom. Dinosaurs.
And to start the before that, when they're when the hunters are coming out, they're coming out of the woods, and like Sam Neill goes to Billy, like, what is that? It's just like bigger. Or he goes, Billy goes to Tyrannosaurus, and Sam Neill goes bigger, and it's just that leads into that scene perfectly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm wearing the t-shirt. I love the first Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorite movies, no matter what. I highly enjoy 2 and 3. They probably the only reason it wouldn't be on my top 5. It would probably still make my top 10. The first Jurassic Park movie is what I judge all special effects by in every movie I watch.
Practical effects too.
Yeah, and to this day, 93 still holds up.
Yeah.
I mean, like Guy said, you got Clever Girl. It's so quotable. It's one of my all-time favorite. It's got everything, and dinosaurs. I could go on and on about Jurassic Park.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
It's a movie. I mean, I quote a lot of movies on a regular basis, but Jurassic Park is honestly a daily basis quote. Whether it's Clever Girl, you gotta go. Anything. I'll quote that movie left and right.
I'm always looking for the next X Miss Dr. Malcolm or
Mrs. X Dr. Malcolm. I can't even when I'm driving, I can't look at my rearview mirror without thinking about Jurassic Park. I can't do it.
Just a hope and dream one day that there will be a Tyrannosaurus Rex in the rearview.
Right. Quick.
The way science is right now,
it
must go faster. Time. Must go faster.
I'm not gonna lie. I would visit. They make it real. I would visit Jurassic Park. I don't care.
That'd be a good way to go.
I'd watch
Worst comes to worst.
Yeah, right.
That'd be a good way to go.
How'd you die? Oh, he was eaten by a T-Rex. Well, that's fucking badass.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Worth the swear there.
So sorry. Very quickly. Side note, because John Big Daddy Ross brought up seeing in theaters. When I lived in New York for a little while, one of the theaters was playing it again, and me and 2 of my coworkers went to see it. And oh my god, that scene is so good. Guitar string underneath it's so good. Anyway, but I saw it in theaters, and it's like a smaller theater, but there was 2 like couples next to us, and the girl sitting right next to me had never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, cool, this will be good. And the scene, not even the kitchen scene. I mean, she was like freaked out, but the scene when Laura Dern goes to turn the power back on, and that raptor pops out. I'm not exaggerating. This girl, blood curl screams, like jumps out of her seat, and like it wasn't even like on purpose, but like a gut reaction, like punches down, hits her boyfriend, hits me. I've never met this girl before in my life. Like I had a legitimate bruise on my arm, and she felt it was so funny. She felt so bad. I was like, no, that was amazing seeing that reaction. It was okay. It was great. It was one of my favorite stories about that movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then unfortunately we got Jurassic World, which to my knowledge, is not in this this video.
We don't know. There's still 3 picks to go.
That's true. And then they're still to end it with a quote from the first one. And I hope I don't mess this up because I use this a lot. You were so excited with the fact that you didn't stop to think if you should.
I thought you were gonna go with life finds a way.
And finds a way.
Life,
but it's just like
finds a way.
So it's they're allegedly coming out with a 7th film in this.
Yep.
So
we'll talk about that when that comes out.
Yeah. But before we move on, Benson, give me your best. I'll take it.
There's a super cut of that on mine. It's like 10 hours long.
And
are you serious?
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos.
I love when he's like, this thing on? He's like, I just really hate that man.
There, you do have dinosaurs on this dinosaur park
tour. No.
tour.
Remind me to thank John for a lovely weekend. All right, let's go to number 3 and the best pick, because we get to talk about a pick that's no longer on this list.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't.
Number 3. All right. Is it my turn? Or
It
is
is
That's
my
your
turn.
turn.
Wait.
No, it's Chin's.
Oh crap!
You
Okay.
can't even count. You can't even count, Mike.
Well, listen. Well, what we learned last time that he likes to bring up his 554th fifth film of all time on his top 10 list.
All right. You know what, Mike? You start. Let's start with you.
Yeah.
Just because.
So I can just go into before you roast me. I can go into my pick here.
You know what? I'm gonna start. I'm gonna tell everybody what happened, because originally our gracious host here did not have Lord of the Rings in his 3rd pick. Originally, he had Harry Potter 3, 4, and 5. And I mean, I don't know about the chat. Me and Chris were on the same page with that is not a trilogy. Great movies, don't get me wrong. Harry Potter, great movies. But 3 random movies out of an 8-film franchise, not a trilogy. And there was some heated debate about this, but it caused a lot of concern with Mike, and he had to rethink his whole list and what could be on there. And it was pretty funny to just watch him go back and forth. So just so you know, originally this was supposed to be Harry Potter. Granted, in my opinion, I think the 3 best Harry Potter films, but not a trilogy.
I just thought it was funny where like we were having that conversation, and he's like, "All right, I'll accept the first 3 movies of a franchise as the trilogy," but then he's like, "Okay, I pick 3, 5, 3, 4, 5." Like right smack in the middle, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, but Mike,
that's not right.
You replace that with an amazing pick. Talk about it. Get into it.
Do I get a retort?
I suppose it's your
some
show.
kind of way to maybe defend.
No,
we can't.
Well, let's hear it.
Oh, we'll get to that guy. So trilogies are hard.
All right, Chin, take a drink.
Right.
I really struggled with this. At first, I had Harry Potter in my mind, the first 3. Also, as great as those first 2 are, some you can make cases that the CGI is lacking, and but they're iconic. There's iconic moments and lines. But then I go to our group chat. Thank you for not screenshotting and throwing these in there. At least to my knowledge, they haven't. I go, can I choose any? This is where my big defense is. Could I choose any 3 in a franchise? And Chin goes, it's your show. So I'm thinking.
That was me trying to be nice, saying, don't.
So my thought process with that, now it's kind of like, it's where I start faltering. But I had to die on a rock before I eventually. So why I picked those 3, they had a little bit of everything that I like in it. The Prisoner of Azkaban is lots of horror elements. You get a werewolf in it. You get kind of like a murder, like who killed Harry Potter's parents. You get the whole Sirius Black stuff. Time travel. It's funny because when I first saw this, I was really confused as a kid and never read the books because there's no pictures in them. But then rewatching it, I did binge these this past year, 2023, and I grew to appreciate it more. And once again, it really, the werewolf stuff is just so cool. And you got Burtbeak and Malfoy getting donkey punched by it, so that was cool. My favorite Harry Potter movie is Goblet of Fire, and that's another reason that kind of made me suggest this. The whole tournament's awesome. You have the introduction to for Batman, Twilight, Son of a Gun, Robert Pattinson,
Edward, yeah.
and just the whole
Batman,
Twilight. it's just the fourth one's phenomenal. It's just so much. The second movie with the second Dumbledore, who I thought was great. His reactions, facial expressions are great. The cast, it gets a little, the whole Harry and Ron argument feud gets a little silly, but then it ends quick. Then Prisoner of Azkaban, you just have, you've got, what happens with Sirius Black. You get Voldemort in a suit. You got
Order of the
Belgium.
That's Order of the Phoenix.
What did I say?
Prisoner of Azkaban.
My bad. Apologies. You got Voldemort in a suit. You have Helena Bonham Carter, and the Bellatrix Lestrange character, could be a straight up horror icon if you gave her like her own movie in a horror universe. Fantastic. So that was my reason with those three, just picking. And when they said, the house rules, I understand. I own up to it. It's kind of silly because I originally said first three in a franchise, and then even that got kind of like pushed away, and not a true trilogy. Trilogy is like the beginning of an end and has to do with time and everything. So that's that.
But you replaced it with a better trilogy with a better wizard, and let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, Lord of the Rings. Right off the gate, I'm going to say my favorite film is Fellowship of the Ring. I remember seeing that in theaters. I had a day off from school. CT Jazz King was like, let's go to the movies. What do you want to see? Lord of the Rings. I don't even remember what made me think of it. I don't even remember trailers, but I was like, yeah, it looks cool. It's playing, and what our options were, I can't remember. So, and I remember being really mad because the line, because it was like a Veterans Day or Martin Luther King's Day. So everyone was at the movies, and the line was like, it was the one, we were like halfway, we still like halfway through to get to the ticket booth, and the movie was supposed to start in like 5 minutes. They honored that, and sorry, I went on a tangent there, but they started the movie on time. But I just remember, and once again, I think, I was 9 or 10 years old, and I just remember being so interested and sucked in to the world that was being created. Once again, no pictures, I never read the books. Being sucked into that universe, and
there's illustrations, there's maps.
The intro
That's
scene
the best part.
The intro scene just pretty much talks about the ring and Sauron, and phenomenal. And then it gets happy. You get into the Shire. You love all those characters. You have the first conversation between Frodo and Gandalf. And Chin, correct me. What's the line where it's like,
I quote this all the time.
You keep your secrets. Is that the line?
I thought you were going to say a wizard is never late nor early.
Yeah,
early.
Precisely. I see what he means too.
And then it's like, I forgot what he asked, but you keep your secrets then. That's like been memed in Gift.
Yeah.
It's just great. And you got Bilbo, you got Merry and Pippin, and Sean Astin, my first introduction to him, who I've met at a con, and phenomenal. If you ever have a chance to see him, definitely recommend it. Easy peasy. But the Shire, the whole Bilbo's party is like awesome scene, and then
111.
The ring vanishes. Gandalf, he knows what the heck's going on, so he goes to confront him. Frodo ends up with it. Bilbo goes away, and why? And I'll get into. I won't break down this whole 3 hour.
I beg to differ, man. You're breaking down the whole thing. Keep it going. We get 12 hours. Let's go.
So, what really, and once again, young Michael should have been petrified, but I think I was just so into the world. One of the reasons why this movie is my favorite, The Fellowship. The ring rates on the horses, they're cloaked, they barely talk, it's all whispers, just so menacing, and there's just so many iconic shots when the ring rates is over the log, and then when Strider's talking about them, and you just see that one shot, it's just like the ring rate on its horse in an open dark trail, just like those images stuck with me, and just how intimidating they are, and how they ran over people. Nothing would get in their way. You get the introduction to Strider, Viggo Mortensen, and then the whole confrontation between them. You go into, you get the introduction to the elves, Orlando Bloom, the whole, and, Christ's sakes. Who's like the head elf? Who's the head elf? Who's
Elrond? Who
was, Red Skull. One of my I remember laughing when they're the fellowship's being formed and the hobbits run out, and his eye roll is one of the best eye rolls of all time. So you have the Fellowship of the Ring, and then Pippin's like, "Where are we going?" So it's just so funny. And then my second, the Mines of Moria. Like even before that, you have, and I'm sure Chin can tell me, and Chris can tell me what creature that squid thing is. That thing's awesome. You go into the mines. You have the goblins, and then you have tomb mine. Yes. They called it a mine. A mine.
It's a pretty good John Rhys Davies.
You got to go with Gimli. So the Mines of Moria sequence from as soon as they enter, Gimli's like you feel the pain when he sees that all his friends and family have been killed. You get the goblins, you got the cave troll, you have the blades that are given to the hobbits that are lighting up blue. You have the Balrog and the "You shall not pass." That, and then you have like the last scene. You have the orcs and another thing was funny enough, the Two Towers video game, which you played both like these best moments from the first Fellowship into Two Towers. And you get to play those, and then playing those out was awesome. Two Towers, obviously, a lot of people say that's their favorite. I totally understand. That's my second favorite. The Battle of Helm's Deep, as just enough said. Gimli and Aragorn going back and forth counting, and that doesn't count. So it's just great.
That's Legolas. He counts with Legolas.
What'd I say?
Aragorn.
And then you have they kind of say Aragorn opening up the door, the doors. And then, funny enough, though, third is great. It's my least favorite because it's too dang long, and that's why it's only 3. But there are so many. It's just all the characters. It seems like it's too much, and it's a hot take. I've spat it out enough. I'm going to talk to the chat, see who still is a fan of me or not. But Chris or Chinmo, take it away. That's why that's my number 3.
Jesus
Mike,
Christ.
I love it because you're like, I'm not going to go through this whole movie, and then proceeded to go through the entire movie. I love the passion. I love it because they're such great movies. These movies are incredible. I remember seeing them each year when they came out. I loved it. The cast is phenomenal. Howard Shore's music is phenomenal. These movies, they teleport you to a world, and you are living in that world. It's just so good. I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it that hasn't been said. You know what? Mike, recap Fellowship. So let's start. The Two Towers. It starts out. All 3 of them. There's not a bad movie in the bunch. It's debatable which one's my favorite, if I'm being honest. But it's just I love those movies. If they're on, I'll watch them. If it's one of those things too, if you like, you've never seen Lord of the Rings, all right, all right, you got a whole weekend. Let's hang out. Let's do it. But no, it's again one I quote on a daily basis. So I even that line, I'm never late nor early. I cannot tell you how often I just replace wizard with Chinmo. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Guy brings up and like one of the best parts in Forgetting Sarah Marshall is like Jason Segel's character going through the breakup, and it's just him and it's like I think underwear and doing the "You shall not pass." Sorry, I had to say that again.
That's arguably the most quotable line from it.
Yeah,
from the whole franchise.
And also shout out Phil. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you, buddy.
But yeah, the fact that Peter Jackson like lied to his studio to get all 3 of these made at the same time, and it's like I'm gonna film these 3 movies, like one at together, but like one at a time. Filmed a part of each of them, and was like, "Hey, I need more money. That way we can film all 3 of them." And it's just you literally got magic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I love how Chris is doing a Rubik's Cube right now.
I'm almost done. Hold on.
Don't make him throw it.
Only reason why I took out the cube because I needed to distract myself from Benson's film because I will talk about this one later on.
Yeah. He will.
It is my favorite film of all time. This is the one. There's only one movie to rule them all, guys, and it's this one. So I don't want to get into it yet because I will go on a whole tangent, especially with Benson. I'm not reading the books.
Bell, there's no pictures.
There's a map. Listen. You read the chapter. You see where they are. You flip to the map. You know where they are.
I need like glasses for my glasses to read.
There's
that.
like 3 different types of books out there, Benson.
Chris, very quickly,
Yes.
just throw out a number.
Yes.
1, 2, or 3. Favorite.
I don't know this answer.
You said 1.
God, that's tough.
I love Fellowship.
2.
There's no, and I will tell you right now, there is no wrong answer.
It's 2.
Okay.
It's 2. It's 2. Like, I'll talk about this later. I'll talk about
And
this
Chin,
later.
do we get? Oh, so we'll be talking about this later, right? Because I could ask yours, but if we get to it later, sure.
Maybe
I-
a little foreshadowing. Maybe talk to me about it on the next slide. Who knows?
Oh, so I gotta highlight guys comment again. It reminds me of Robert Downey Jr. in the first Avengers. That man's playing Galga. Thought he wouldn't notice, but we did.
Yeah. All right.
Hey.
Well, I guess since I finished the cube, I'm gonna go on and do my my number 3, which is Rocky freaking Balboa, my guy. I grew up with the Rocky films. It was kind of like one of the movie franchises that most of my cousins grew up like talking about, because my auntie Lynn was a huge Rocky fan. And the first 3 just are so good. Like I told you guys before, I'm a sucker for personal growth in films, and like, what better film franchise than Rocky, where like he went the distance. He literally tried to get where he needed to, to become great, and like he got that opportunity to face the champ. R.I.P. Carl Weathers. I literally just started rewatching, doing another Rocky marathon this past week. I could not finish Rocky this week, because I just started crying as soon as I saw Carl Weathers pop on the screen. Because like, this is one of my childhood movies. I grew up loving these guys. I wanted to be Rocky. I wanted to be Apollo Creed. I wanted to be like the champ growing up. Like, this was a franchise that kept me going as a kid. Like, my mom didn't know what to get me for Christmas one year, so she got me a box set of Rocky.
I love John's comment. That's great.
So there's nothing. Dude,
Russians
you know what?
cut.
Here's the thing.
The Russians cut.
Here's the thing. Rocky 4, all right, is probably the quintessential top tier 80s film. But we're not talking about 4th films. We're talking about 1, 2, 3.
Trilogies are hard. There's
Trilogies are hard. Yes. And just seeing his progression through 1 through 3, like the Italian style of like, he almost made it, he made it, he lost it, and then he regained it in the end of the film. But like, the fights are great. The music is great. I mean, this is probably, there's not a time where I don't quote, I got to fight the fight, like over
let's
and
be
over
honest.
again.
Anytime you go up more than maybe 10 stairs, everybody's like,
oh, dude,
all right, if Rocky can
arms
do
up.
it, I can do it.
Arms up, man.
Phil actually lives in Philly.
Oh, yeah. But that's my number 3.
I'm gonna refrain all my Rocky comments to the next slide, or till the next.
I'm gonna answer Guy's
now
question
he's
really
number
quick.
2.
Guy, we had this conversation, and the fact that the first 3 are kind of one whole story. Yes, the 4th one does pick up, but it's like years later kind of thing. We let it go in this one, mainly because we just want to give Mike hard time about Harry Potter pick.
Yeah,
is what it was.
Abracadabra.
Yeah, no, it's so we let that one slide. Anyway, my number 3, Back to the Future. It's just I love these movies. They're so good. I got a signed poster of the entire cast, basically, sitting right there. I'm a sucker for time travel. I love a good time travel story, and this is one of the best. There's 2 main kind of ways you can play time travel, and they play it. You can change stuff. The cast is incredible. Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown will never not make me laugh. Just
Perfect
like the way
casting.
Guys got it right there. Again, I quote this movie, all 3 of these movies, to no end. one of my favorite underrated ones is actually towards the end of the second one when Marty gets back in. He's like, Doc, you're not going to believe it. We got to go back to 1955. I don't believe it. Like just the way he delivers it. And it's just so good. But I mean, you'd be hard pressed. The DeLorean is arguably one of the most iconic cars in all of cinema. It's such a good story. It's so much fun. It's funny. It's got heart. It's got some action to it. And like I said, it's time travel. You know, it plays around how everything kind of connects and they change it through. I mean, Huey Lewis, who doesn't, you know, great soundtrack.
And the news.
Yep. And the news. Yep. Can't forget the news. But no, I absolutely love these movies. And yeah, you could say maybe the third one, maybe not the best, but it fits in the story. They're all just so good. I just love them. All-time favorite, always will be. It's not going to change. I love these movies. And I can't wait for Mike's comment because I already know what it is.
Well, I guess I got to go now.
Mike's never seen them.
Yeah.
You know what? That's okay because now you can look forward and you have that experience. I'm jealous. You get to watch them for the first time.
And it's like, I know this is one of my dad's, T.T. Jaskins' all-time favorites.
Because he has good taste.
I failed as a son for not watching it. I please do not unsubscribe anyone. I will write this wrong, I promise, and I'll maybe even do a quick instant live reaction on this channel once I do. It's when you're a kid and a movie comes out a couple years before you're on this earth plane, you can only watch so many movies in so much of a limited of a time. And I think the fact that so many shows
just watch them. Maybe not now. Sometime soon. Possibly like back in the future sometime, you know. Move forward.
So many shows have reference period, obviously, Family Guy comes to mind, where I'm excited to see these movies. So then as I'm watching the movies, I could like remember those jokes and laugh. I'm like, that's just like when I grew up with this quick side tangent. I grew up with The Simpsons and watching the Treehouse of Horrors of The Shining. When I finally saw The Shining when I was in college, I was laughing through most of it because I'm like, The Simpsons did that perfectly. So actually one of my biggest, mistakes or whatever, holes in my movie watching life is Back to the Future. I plan to fix that, before the end of 2024. And that's all I got to say about that.
That's all you got to hear. Nice.
Yeah.
Chris, have you seen these movies?
I have. Okay. I will say the third film is not the best, but I agree that it does fit with
and it's got great moments.
Things. It does. It really does.
Especially I believe Biohazard said it. It's got a time traveling train.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that's freaking cool. I love this. I love this franchise. This trilogy. Like I really do. The first one more than the other two. The other two. But we actually had. I work at a thumbs down, Mike. I work at a campground over the summer, and this past summer we actually did because we do a movie every weekend. And there's always a theme to that weekend, and we actually had a Back to the Future one this past season. And my boss found a guy online that had a fully finished and refurbished DeLorean.
He's rated mass. He's been on documentaries. He owns a couple of them. Yeah.
He came right to the campground with the DeLorean, and you bet your ass I sat in it a couple times. Like I would drive around my golf cart. I would hop off. Like I just sit in there for like 5 seconds. Like I'm like, okay, cool. I do it. Hop back out. Do a couple laps of like work. Come back to think, like, guys, do it again. Like, is it okay if I just do it a couple more times? Like,
I'm not gonna lie. Every single time I drive, and I'm not gonna say how fast I'm going, but I'm hitting a certain number.
You're hitting like, that 88.
I'm like, if I had a flux capacitor right now, I could be anywhere.
Chen, we gotta talk about this one real quick though. Like, do you ever think of like that whole conspiracy theory of the first film? Like, if the only reason why Doc invited Marty on this trip because like he didn't want to die alone if it didn't happen.
So
Like
there,
if it,
so I'm gonna go off tangent. I love time travel, and anytime you see time travel in movies or TV or books, there's for the most part two basically like exactly. I get it.
yeah,
Like I hit that 88. That T-Rex isn't getting me.
yeah,
But there's two basic schools kind of like how it works. Is one, you can change things, and two, I go by the loss theory. Is whatever happened happened. You can't change it no matter what.
yeah,
And then you keep it with this. And I like the fact that because they never, that is one thing they never answer. Like, why is this teenager hanging around with like this 50-something-year-old random kooky scientist? They never tell you. They're just good friends. And I love that because it's just, it's a true friendship. And I like to think that it's, beneficial for the both of them. And, it's just, I don't know if it's like he planned it out. I like to think so because he's that smart. I also enjoy how like he's such a smart guy, but he's like one of those smart guys that's like misses the obvious kind of thing, like
yeah.
all the time.
He doesn't have the common sense.
Yeah, and I just love that. I think it's one of my favorite jokes that gets me. I think it's in the second one. Is when he's like when he's going to destroy the machine and stuff like that, and he's like, I'm going to devote my time to studying the rest of the other great mystery of the world, women.
Yeah,
Like it's just something he never understood. Like I just love how he is as like a character. So
yeah,
I like to think maybe.
yeah.
I have a quick question, and I'm not a big, I've seen like a handful of Rick and Morty, but how much of a inspiration or like with Rick and Morty, how much of like the creators said like Back to the Future is like, if any, if you guys have watched Rick and Morty, how much of a
It's
connection
heavily
is?
influenced. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that the main character is Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very heavily influenced. And yep, Jules and Verne, love it. Great one. Yep. There's a lot of just fun references. Like, I mean, you get a young Billy Zane, which is in the first one. You get
Yeah.
Elijah Wood's first time on screen in number 2.
Yeah.
You get some really good stuff. Leah Thompson.
It wasn't Flipper?
No,
it's not Flipper.
his first role. Kid
Yeah,
in, you got to
he
use your hands. Ugh.
yeah, he's one. Oh, he hasn't seen the movie. He doesn't know.
I know.
Wait till next week. We're gonna review Flipper.
Yeah, Leah Thompson, just incredible. Sweetheart too. I remember when I met her. So nice. But yeah, number 2.
Yeah, why not?
All right.
I do want to say first, if you guys haven't seen it, there is because the creators of Rick and Morty, they actually did like they were on YouTube first, and they're just doing like little sketch animations and stuff, and it's still on YouTube. Like their first idea of Rick and Morty was just a like animated spoof of Back to the Future.
Awesome. That's what I
makes
kind
sense.
of asked that question. That's
yeah,
awesome.
if you look it up, like it's still on there, and it's literally Rick and Morty, but the characters are Doc Brown and Morty. Like it's very good if you get a chance to find it.
Check it out. It's one of those things. You might not be ready for it, but your kids are gonna love it.
Dude, honestly, like watching it, then rewatching Rick and Morty, I'm like, that could not have been Rick and Morty. Like it was raunchier than Rick and Morty.
Oh wow.
Like like you could tell they were just like, yeah, we're doing this, pushing some limits. Let's just go for it.
Just keep going for it.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. All right, I'll go first because we've already talked about it. Lord of the Rings. If it's not in your top 3, what are you doing? I love these movies. I'll say it. That's I've commented enough. They're incredible. I'll watch regular. I'll watch theatrical. I'll watch extended. They're amazing.
It's only extended, Chen. It's only extended.
Okay. I remember this was probably like this was 5-6 years ago. God, it was after a whimsy rehearsal practice, whatever. Chris and I only know that, and one, maybe 2 people in the chat. You decided to do 9 hours, no, including the Hobbit movies at the time, like 12 hours straight. How far did you make it, Chris?
It's more than
Me?
that.
Oh no. We just ended up doing the original 3 that day. We did like only with the extended, it was a little over 10 hours.
You did all 3 though?
Yeah, we did all 3. Oh yeah, we did. It was only me, Athena, and Nathaniel. Like just the 3 of us, like hung out, and
It's
we
a solid day.
just binged the movies, ate some food.
Guy, you in a 24-hour span, you can watch all 3 extended editions plus the Hobbit movies in a 24-hour period. Just saying.
I was actually just talking to my
You don't have to watch the Hobbit movies though. You can skip those for the most part.
Listen, okay, I will defend the Hobbit movies in some shape or way. They are solid. Did they destroy the book? Yes, of course it did. But like that was the fault of trying to get one book into 3 separate films. Like you have to add something to make it exciting.
That and the fact that you have the Lord of the Rings trilogy to compare it to, you're like, it doesn't hold a candle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, especially with its with its cosmetics, right? Like
it's practical. Go practical. For all movie filmmakers out there, if you have the opportunity, go practical effects. Simple as that.
And in all genres.
Which side thing? I'm really excited to see Beetlejuice 2 because they mentioned that it's nothing but practicals. There's very little CGI,
which is great.
Very excited for that. Chin, I'm sorry I interrupted your.
No, I mean we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I love these movies. I will always love these movies. So
I was 9 when I saw Fellowship of the.
Whoa! Back to number 4 on the list. Oh, hi, Miles. How are you?
To answer your question earlier, Mike, honestly, there's no wrong answer when you pick which one is your favorite. It really depends on my mood. I think the 3rd is the best film, but I think I lean towards 2 just because of the battle at Helm's Deep. And I love the ends. Love the ends.
It's for me, it's also the most quotable. There's so many things that come out of that film that I spew on a daily basis. Especially toss me. Just toss me.
Don't tell the elf.
Don't tell the elf. Or then like at the end of the battle, he's like, well, what was your count? I got 41. I'm standing on a solid 42 myself. Starts to move, like starts the orc leg starts twitching. Yeah. He shoots him. He's like, what was that for? He was already dead. His leg was twitching. He's twitching because his head is embedded with my axe.
And then what was the that only counts as 1.
That's the 3rd one.
Oh, that's the 3rd one. That's with the elephant.
Oh, that's
Would you like me to find you a box or shall I describe it to you? I use that. One of my best friends, she is very short, and I use that all the time. I love it.
Oh, God. I will say I am that guy with the Lord of the Rings film. If I'm watching with somebody who hasn't watched it, I'm the guy sweating in the middle of the movie, just waiting for it to be said. And you know what I'm about to say? It's, did you know that Aragorn broke his foot in the scene?
Yeah, he really broke his toe.
He really broke his toe. I'm literally that guy.
And then, what's the line that the Aragorn says to Frodo? One of the in the 3rd one, it's "No one bows to you," or "You bow."
Oh, that's one of
that's
my friends.
That's my friends.
You bow to no
one.
Yeah.
Talk about a tearjerker. Oh.
I do admit there's the sequence when it's all said and done, and when you think it's gonna end for the first time, I'm like, this is good. And then there's like 20 endings.
There's like 12 endings, and they're all incredible. There's no bad ending to that film.
Yeah,
I'll say right now.
The only thing
I'm sorry, your trilogy isn't gonna show up. I'm sorry.
Listen, the only thing I wish Peter Jackson did, it would have been super long, but I really wish we saw Battle of the Shire on the screen.
Oh, they're gonna say Tom Bombadil.
That too. Oh,
and more
Tom
Beatles and more Beatles unseen recordings. I knew that's a whole nother video.
Yes.
It's a solid pick. It's a solid franchise. I think honestly I should rewatch Return of the King because I've actually rewatched Fellowship and Two Towers multiple times. I think I do need to give Return of the King a solid rewatch, and who knows?
I think we need to get Miles' opinion.
Miles, what do you think about Return of the King?
Taylor's wagon.
Is it your favorite film? I know it is.
It's a little rough.
I know it is. He's mad at me right now. Say he's waiting for Mom to come home to take him out one more time because I think he's got to go.
All right, let's wrap this up quick then.
Sure.
Let's plow through these.
I'll go because Chris mentioned it in the last slide, and less of a deep sigh, but when we determined that we weren't going to do comic book movie related trilogies, I had a choice to make, and I'll admit it, I'd never seen, and once again, these are my, father said it, he loves the first 3 Rockies. Before this Saturday, I had never seen the Rocky movies. I saw 4 because it was one year on Thanksgiving, and the first game was a blowout, so the only other thing worth watching on TV was Rocky 4. So I had seen Rocky 4, obviously knowing, because my dad was kind of did like this movie, but so
don't tell me he said that. That hurts my heart.
So finally, I was like, it's the perfect opportunity to finally watch these movies, and so Saturday watched Rocky, the original, the first, and then Sunday watched Rocky 2. Last night watched Rocky 3. And it lived up because obviously hearing about about this franchise and about these films and like Adrian and just like Apollo Creed and like I've grown up and everyone knows about how awesome Rocky is, but to finally watch these for the first time just recently within the last couple of days, it's just once like Jurassic Park, it's like I don't know where to begin. Everyone loves an underdog story. Arguably this is the best underdog story. Sly Stallone, you can relate. I never knew how, and this isn't I'm probably wording this wrong, it's not a detriment, how little boxing there is in the first and kind of the second film. It's more about Rocky Balboa's story and what he's going through personally in life. And it hit me how relatable it was, because he had no education. He's trying to get the girl. His girlfriend's shy. The girl he likes is shy, and you follow that journey. And Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers, God rest his soul, phenomenal. He's almost more of like an anti-hero than a true villain. Like those first 2 films really don't have a true villain, and it's just. I'm a sucker for training sequences, and all 3 of these movies have several awesome training sequences. The fight scenes are incredible. These movies really blew me away watching them for the first time, and even 3, which is, if I had to rank them gun to my head, I'd probably go in order at this very moment: 1, 2, and 3. The 3 kind of starts out, and I know it was early 80s, and there's a little cheese, and I'm a wrestling fan, but the whole charity fight with Thunder Lips, Hulk Hogan, and then how Rocky's training, but still kind of to fight Clover Lang, and it still is kind of like he's hamming it up, he's milking it up, he's really embracing the celebrity aspect of his life, where in Rocky 2, he gets the deal to do the commercials, and he's struggling because he doesn't have the best education. He's struggling with reading, and so it's, and I never knew Stallone directed 2 and 3, so
wrote them too,
wrote and directed, so that's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's out of this whole these top 5s, I think maybe because they're also fresh, but they're also the hardest to rank. Because I think 1 through 3 is just a good story. It almost feels like one whole movie, especially because Rocky 2 is him versus Apollo again, and this time he ends up winning, and it's definite. And I'm really happy to finally check this off the must-watch bucket list, because I was just blown away watching this trilogy, these first 3 films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah. Yes.
Number 2 pick.
Dude, guys.
One last line. Eat lightning, crap thunder.
Oh god, yeah, best line right there. When you're done with him, you're gonna eat lightning and crap thunder, kid. He won't know what's hitting you. Or him, whatever the line is, something, whatever it is. I don't know, my favorite Rocky line actually came from it was from Rocky. Weirdly enough, it was from Rocky 5. Not the best Rocky film, but man, my favorite line ever from that franchise was he's talking about Mickey. He's reminiscing in the gyms, and he's like, kid, when I die, I know everything I do for you. It's I'm your angel on your shoulder. You see here, kid, and I just want you to know that even if I'm gone, I want you to hear in your head that as that angel to be just get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. And then, of course, that's what he hears in his last fight, and he just goes ham on his student. Like, probably that's my favorite Rocky line. But yeah, my top 2 was really
And I'm
hard.
sorry, Chris. I loved the train going back to trains. I loved Rocky training with Apollo. Apollo taking Rocky on and just going to California. Paulie's one of the most annoying characters in that sequence of just how Paulie is, but still, it's just and how Adrian finally is able to break Rocky into getting his head into it, and then you see how he starts picking on. It was great. It was just a great experience. And to answer guys' question before Chris goes into his number 2, the story behind the script, like Stallone's story. Do you guys know? Chris, you're still very zoomed in.
It's on purpose.
That's on purpose.
Am I allowed to
I know
talk?
what you're doing. Shame on me. Chris, do you know the story about
I don't
that?
actually.
Guy, feel free to comment in the chat, and I'll highlight you as Chris goes into his number 2, and because I still had Rocky on the mind, and now I get why Chris is zooming in. Chris, go into your number 2.
Yeah, like I said, it was really hard for me to pick a horror franchise or a horror trilogy out of the 2 that I had in mind. I had to go with one that really got me into horror, Evil Dead, the Sam Raimi films, Evil Dead 2, and Evil Dead Armies of Darkness, which is probably known as one of the best horror and zombie films of all time. Practical effects alone, they're amazing, especially with the budget of the first film. How he was able to get me scared first time watching it it's awesome. Most quotable for me, for sure. Especially anything Bruce Campbell he says in that film is in the second film is so good. You bastards, you took my hand. Just give me back my hand. Like there's so many good things about the Evil Dead films. I cannot. They're scary, they're witty. Sometimes there's some comedy in it, and I think that's just Sam Raimi's take on it all. But like, I grew up again, like all these films I put on my list, I grew up watching, and like all these are ones I put on repeat for myself, and especially around Halloween time. And if I have the chance, I would try to convince my our family friend who actually introduced me to Evil Dead to be like, listen, if you want to take a time just to watch a movie, like I'll come over and watch Evil Dead with him. Because he got me into watching, because he knew I was a huge zombie fan when I was growing up. Like I got into the whole Walking Dead thing, which then branched my interest to like, I'm watching Night of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead 2. I'm watching 28 nights or whatever. 28 nights.
28 days.
28 days
Later.
And then also watching all the Zombieland, Zombieland 2. Like I watched pretty much most of The Walking Dead until like maybe midway through season 5, which is where I thought it was starting to get
half.
Yeah, like a solid half, where it was starting to get really bad. because all the main characters are leaving at that point. Like, yeah, people. I would say like the real story of Evil Dead trilogy does actually start on number 2 because they kind of like rehash what kind of happened in the first film, acting like the first film never even really happened. And like then there comes a more storyline of like why the Necronomicon is a thing, how it ended up in this cabin, why is Ash such an important part of the whole thing, and then it gets into Army of Darkness, and then which that goes into the whole TV series afterwards. But like for a solid 3 horror trilogy, yeah, Evil Dead by far, and it had to be up there on the list because if it wasn't going to be an animated film, it was going to be a horror film for sure.
Solid
So
pick.
I've only seen Evil Dead 1.
Yeah, I hope you cringe. That one hurts me the most.
I started 2, and I know the whole thing is like Evil Dead 2 is like Evil Dead 1, but with more of a budget and a little bit more add to the story.
Yep.
It was just because I put it on too late, and it's not about the movie, but I ended up, dozing off and never got back to 2. I know Army of Darkness is iconic. I know that this is my boomstick line, but the solid, Bruce Campbell, making, himself and like bring himself into, pop culture with this character with the help of Sam Raimi and how they're able to get this franchise started, with the first one is a story amongst itself and, really, solidified and built these careers, helped build the careers of both Sam and Bruce Campbell. As you mentioned, we ended up getting, Ash vs. Evil Dead TV series, and Sam Raimi, ended up directing a little trilogy, called Spider-Man. We'll touch a bit on honorable mentions too. But so without seeing the last 2 films in this trilogy, I think it's a solid pick because I know how important it's not just the horror community and zeitgeist, it's just Bruce Campbell in general and Sam Raimi. So,
dude, also came with a killer musical. I will say, if you haven't seen Evil Dead the musical, it's fucking awesome.
You get covered in blood.
You get covered in blood, and like, who doesn't like a song acknowledging the fact that they're about to be eaten by Kandarian demons? Like, what the fuck was that? Literally, my favorite song is "What the fuck was that?" And they just bash like the both male leads just bash on each other, like, "Dude, your girlfriend's turned into a zombie. Well, what the fuck was that, dude? Yours turned into one too. Now we're fucking like, we're here."
I will say I have seen the remake from 2014, and I do actually. It's a crazy movie, completely. More of a straight on. There's no comedy about it. That's a horror movie. I enjoy that. They made the newest one, which that we'll save that for like another video. Both Chris and I were not big fans of that. Before we go on to the last slide, Guy did get back to us when brought the script to producers to try to get the movie made.
Yes, I do know what happened. Like he really wanted he really wanted to be in the film. Like he wanted to be in the film, but directors did not want him to because they thought he didn't look the part to be Rocky. And I think because what they do, he had like $5,000 to his name to put out for this film.
He sold his dog.
Yeah, he sold his dog.
He got him back.
Yeah. Okay. But like, yeah, no, he wanted to star in the film, and companies would not want him because of that reason alone, that he did not look handsome on screen. Which I'm like, that's fucking dumb because it's a boxing movie.
Yeah, but you have to be beautiful to box. That's lesson number 1. Everybody knows that.
Look at Logan Paul.
Oh Jesus! Number 1 picks. Let's do it.
Well, do we want to do some honorable mentions before we do number 1?
Yeah, let's spew a few honorable mentions quick.
I'm gonna run down. Ready?
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks, one of the best sports trilogies of all time. Rush Hour, Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker.
Oh God, yeah.
Comedic gold. I don't care which one you watch in comedic gold.
Austin Powers.
Austin Powers. I will never not laugh at the scene in the first one when he tries to turn around in the hallway on that cart. It will make me laugh every single time. Ocean's 11 movies. I love a great heist. Love them.
Mhm.
Toy Story. First three. It would have been on the top 10. I'll tell you right now.
I do not like Toy Story
the
3. I do not like Toy Story 3. I didn't even side before that.
the fact that it's just you think it's not a good movie, or the fact that it gave you trauma.
No, it's just like I love 2. I love the first one. I love 2. Going back,
like
you got more
3.
Wayne Knight in your life. You can't, and you got Kelsey Grammer. You got the 2's great and a fun follow up. 3 got so serious and dramatic, and the damn things almost get
Because
burned.
we, as an older audience that grew up with it, the first time I saw that movie, it was a group of us. We went, and my friend's younger niece, who was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 at the time, we were I don't know why she was around when we were doing it, but she was like, "You're not gonna like how it ends." And there's a scene when you think everything's gonna end horribly, and we're like, "Oh my god, is this what she was talking about? This is how it goes?" And we're like, "Oh, thank God. Okay, cool." But that's what I remember for that movie. You're not gonna like how it ends, and it's so sad and so nice, and the way everything moves on.
Mhm.
Come on, Mike, don't like Toy Story 3.
I
I mean, and then it's almost like they're in like a camp with the fuzzy Loxy Woxy, whatever his name was. I just couldn't get into it. Did not feel like a Toy Story movie, and that's all I got to say about that. And I haven't seen 4 yet. Pirates of the Caribbean.
They're coming out with a 5th one too, right?
I did hear that through the dirt sheets. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Sheets.
That's a wrestling term.
Dirty, gross.
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean, the first movie is another top, it's in my top 15, 20 of all time. Love the first Pirates. Second one, I said this before the show started, they laughed at me, but I know you got the zombie pirates in the first film, but then suspension of disbelief, then you got sea creature guys.
No. I laughed because your sentence exactly was, the first one's really grounded with the zombies at night and stuff, the zombie pirates. That sentence makes no sense. It's really
that
grounded.
Scene is awesome,
the
though.
Zombie pirates.
When they're marching underwater in their skeleton form, that is awesome. But the giant squid's an awesome animal that exists, and to see the Kraken on film in the second one.
Yeah.
Kraken. I was always told Kraken.
Yeah.
The Kraken.
Those scenes are great, and but 3 really loses me because you got Calypso becoming like a giant, just like a really that's when it really felt like a kaiju, and it's just like the third one I don't know. You did have Keith Richards in it, which is kind of a fun little like Easter egg, even though not Keith Richards, but Johnny Depp based the mannerisms of Jack Sparrow off of like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger. So to have Keith Richards in the third one as his father, kind of cool. The third one I thought was just a little too much. I love seeing more, like one of the best, and it should have been a post-credit scene before post-credit scenes were a thing. But
they have post-credit scenes in those movies.
Yeah.
Yes, but correct me if I'm wrong. The second one ends with they go to Calypso, and then we see Barbossa come back. That's almost like the effect of a Marvel post-credit scene. And then to see him come back in the third one, I know these aren't in that trilogy, but I am a fan of 4 and 5 more than 3. But yeah, that's any other comments?
Honorable mention I will say is the prequels to the Star Wars franchise.
I think they do deserve a quick shout out and a praise. Maybe it's just me, but seeing how poorly the sequel trilogy was done, it made me appreciate I always liked. There's a cat.
I was like, what the hell is happening?
I always liked Revenge of the Sith, and then I always
best of the
liked
3.
I remember seeing all these movies in theaters. You can't not like Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn and
Qui-Gon Shin.
in
Connection.
Phantom Menace, and plus you got Duel of the Fates, you got Darth Maul. Yeah, there's a lot of bad things with the first two, episode 1 and 2, but there's a lot of good things. I think now people appreciate more. Even Attack of Clones is kind of like a love story, but you still have all the Jango Fett. You have the last act, I think, is great. You got freaking Christopher Lee as Count Dooku. But yeah,
Tyrannus.
Yeah.
yes. You got Ian McGregor and all, which is great. So
Samuel L. Jackson.
Sam Jackson, Ian McDermott as the Emperor.
Cat butt.
But yeah, I love the prequels. I am very fondly of. I think very fondly of.
I'm gonna save my Star Wars talk for a minute because I'm gonna have a real hot take on the next slide.
I am curious, so I think Chris should. I think Chris should start his start the next slide.
All right. I'm also gonna say Terminator 1, 2, and 3. The third one, but 1 and 2. Holy shit,
Two more than one.
Yeah. Same with Aliens. To be honest with you, Aliens franchise as well.
Yeah.
All right.
I have to. If you kind of don't know why, I do have to take a quick leave, but I will be back.
I don't know why, Mike.
Yeah.
I do agree with Aliens and Terminator as well. I'll be back, guys. But Chris, please start us out with your 2.
You got it.
Okay. Actually, it fits very perfectly that Chris is starting number 2, and you'll see why because of this. He's the only one with something different.
Wow. Okay. Definitely a battle of the franchises here.
Solid picks from all of us. I'll agree.
Yeah. See,
your number 1 was my number 2. So
yeah, I mean, listen, I told you before.
I didn't want to. The Godfather absolutely deserves an honorable mention.
That was a conversation I was trying to bring up with you guys earlier. That is one trilogy, or even just The Godfather alone. I could only watch it. I only was able to watch it once. I cannot watch it in its entirety. Like
they're long movies.
It's not that they're long. It's just like they are,
and I like to think
intense.
That's a good way to put it, Guy. They're fantastic movies. It's just personal opinions. I'm sorry. I feel so bad that I'm upsetting Guy.
I'm sorry. I don't know you, Guy, but I hope I'm not upsetting you. Only because I really loved The Godfather. I'm a huge Marlon Brando fan. I loved him ever since I saw him in Streetcar Named Desire. Like it's just a film that was so intense. I cannot put myself up to watch it again.
Very quotable movies. I mean, come on, take the gum, leave the cannoli.
On the day of my daughter's wedding, ask for a favor. Also, just the story behind that is so cool. Like, did you know how he developed?
Oh yeah,
the idea of becoming literally based off of the image of a bulldog. Yeah, so iconic of Brando.
There's a reason, especially 1 and 2 are so highly regarded as they are. So, Guy, you are right. They're incredible movies. Just personally, it didn't make it for us.
Yeah,
but these did make it for number 1 for us.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier,
sorry, Chris. Are you guys talking about The Godfather?
We were.
No, we were.
We were.
We were.
Sorry.
What's the Family Guy
going there, Chen?
What's the Family Guy joke already made?
No. I didn't know there was a family.
They insist upon themselves.
Oh yeah, when they're trapped in the.
I like the money pit.
Oh jeez.
I forgot that was a thing. when they're trapped in their safe house, and they're about to die.
It's like they're speaking in a language I can't understand them. They're speaking in a language of love, something you'll never understand.
No, not love, dude. Of respect.
Sorry, I had to throw that in. I know my dad always loves that episode because him and I have not seen any of the Godfather movies.
Oh yeah, I think Guy's comment sticks pretty well with you. Then you're dead to him.
Yeah. But now starting off on the slide, like I cannot express my love for Lord of the Rings. I really can't. Like at least especially since COVID, and I got into audiobooks. Like in the last 4 years now, there's not been a time where I have not done a listen through on The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. It's the godfather of all fantasy, right? Like it really is. Or at least modern fantasy, right? Like it's quotable, the action is awesome. I love what Peter Jackson did to bring Tolkien's work to life on screen. Like I got into it late when I was a kid, because the first one I saw was Return of the King in theaters.
Starting at the end. Whew.
Yeah, I started at the end, but I was only what came out
There's no one
2000.
movie over here.
It came out what 2003. I
One,
was
2000.
135.
so it came out in 5. I was only in 4th grade when that
So
movie
you
came
saw
out.
Return of the King first?
I did. Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. And then later down the line,
Were you not confused?
I was 4. I was in fourth grade. I was like 6 or 7 years old.
That's like a 6-year gap. I was 4. I was in 4th grade. Sorry.
No, I was trying to say I was in 4th grade when the film came out. But like, the movies brought me into really reading the books and like learning more about the lore of
That man can build
his
a world.
He really freaking can. And like, I loved it more after I read The Hobbit, and then like The Hobbit came out, and I was able to see, like, after knowing who Andy Serkis was and who he played in the movie, and seeing his Gollum.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the Gollum.
I can't do it, especially not right now.
Pool, it's nice and cool to catch a fish. It's Smeagol's wish.
That's the line you go to. Interesting. I was not expecting a song. I love it. I love it.
I really can't do it. My throat is shot right now. Like,
I was just fucking with you. I actually do
bad.
have an impression. I'm just happy we got Mike to sing.
I am too. But it's number one of all. Like it's the
one trilogy.
It's the one trilogy to rule them all. Thank you.
For Chris.
That's all you need to say. And I don't hate it. I love it. It's my number 2 pick. I agree with you. You're right there. Mike, do you want me to talk about this franchise, or would you?
I'm curious. We probably should have talked about this in the pre-show. I'm
gonna have some real hot takes.
Yeah.
I'll let you close with the hot takes. I'll make this as quick as I can.
So 25 minutes, go.
Right.
So my introduction to these, my parents both took me to see the re-releases in the 90s, and I was blown. I remember I was 5 or 6, but I still remember going to the theaters, seeing these movies, seeing these characters and creatures, and for the first time, Darth Vader. Obviously, the characters that stick to me. As a young kid, costume design. So Darth Vader, Stormtroopers, Boba Fett, always took the cake.
Boba Fett.
Sorry. Boba Fett.
Where?
And so, as a young kid, and then when they released them on VHS, they had like the gold Darth Vader face with all 3 of them in there. And growing up, watching those on repeat. Funny enough, as a kid, I rewatched Return of the Jedi the most. But I always loved the Jabba, the opening sequence at Jabba's palace, and where that the whole first act of the movie. But my favorite, and this might be a top 5. I had to go through my overall films list, but New Hope's my favorite because, like how Fellowship is, how it builds this universe, it's just phenomenal. You get behind a young Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. He wants to do more than just,
He just wanted to go to Tashi Station and pick up some power converters. That's all he wanted.
That's all he wanted. And so you get hooked onto that character, that situation. And, you got James Earl Jones's voice as Darth Vader. And I didn't mention this enough with Rocky, but I'm also a sucker for I mentioned training montages, but trainers, Obi-Wan, Mickey, who do you got? Who's the better, who's the best?
Oh yeah. Obi-Wan.
I'd agree.
Sure, hands down.
But it's just iconic. And then it's, the just every word Allen Guinness says, you're just like
Alec.
glued to what. My bad. My apologies. You're glued to everything that he says, until the very end when he meets Darth. But then you get his spirit form in the next two movies, and it's just the ultimate good versus evil. George Lucas was inspired by Jack Kirby's Fourth World and Dark Side, unless I'm getting yes.
Part of it.
What Star Wars inspired the New Gods,
There you go. That's the way to go.
but Doctor Doom inspired Darth Vader.
He took it from a lot. Took it
Face,
from a lot of serialized stuff that he grew up on, Ace Pilot stuff that he grew up on.
Yeah.
Kurosawa, a bunch of
Samurais. Yeah. So it's just the New Hope. It's just you have obviously then the X-wings, and that's been parodied, and once again, Family Guy most famously. And it's
kid.
funny,
Don't get penisy.
and Harrison Ford. We mentioned how do you top Han? So how do you top how do you top Han Solo? He did, but still, I prefer Han Solo to Indiana Jones. That's just that character. Very quotable. You just said, don't get cocky, kid. What a piece of no, my bad. Oh God, dang it. That's Mark Hamill. It's the shit that made the Kessel Run. Him and Chewie.
How many parsecs? How many parsecs, Mike? Under 12.
Yes, 12. So, and just like the whole, when Han comes back, it's just like, I knew everything was worth more than money, or it's just like, Carrie Fisher's, Princess Leia, a lot of people's first crush, it's just that cast of characters, George Lucas and practical effects, God dang, New Hope. And then, a lot of people's favorite,
Empire.
Goddamn, Empire Strikes Back. You have opening with Hoth, and then you have the the Wampa. You have the train. You go from Obi-Wan to Yoda. Another iconic trainer in film.
You did Gollum. Can you do Yoda? I just like putting you on the spot. I'm sorry. You don't actually have to do it. I was just messing around.
I don't want to mess up the line. I have a line in mind. I can't mess this up. There is no try.
You messed it up.
Yeah,
I messed it up.
Yeah. It's okay.
You did good, Mike. That was good. I'm sorry.
Do or do not.
There is no try.
There is no.
Oh, no, another good point. And my dad and I are both suckers for King Arthur lore, so another inspiration. So yeah, and obviously the classic, the first time Luke faces Vader in Empire Strikes Back. You also have Lando. You have one of another iconic. And just his interaction with that group that lands on Cloud City, and then you have the door rises up and Vader's at the table, and Han Solo ruins a perfectly good dinner that Darth Vader prepared for them.
Really did.
And that it's then you go into Return of the Jedi, and I think I also just loved the more how they put the Darth Vader and Luke, when Luke surrenders on Endor. No, wherever the Ewoks are.
Endor.
I was right. Look at me. And just he mentions, "I knew you were Anakin Skywalker." That name, I'm misquoting. I'll admit it. That name. What's he say?
I don't know what you're going for here.
It's the
When
Luke surrenders.
I haven't heard that name, and
yes, that name means nothing to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you have more classic Emperor. The showdown, and then just as a kid, that was like really my first trilogy too. And all the toys I collected, all the times I put those movies on rewind and rewatched, and it's I think because I saw it before Lord of the Rings, I think that's why I hold it so high. And if there wasn't a Star Wars, you can bring the books in or whatever. But if there wasn't a Star Wars, there might not be a Lord of the Rings. So
If there wasn't a Star Wars, there wouldn't be. George Lucas revolutionized filmmaking in general.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have almost any of the films you have now if it wasn't for Star Wars and George Lucas.
Yeah.
But I feel bad putting you on the spot with the Yoda impression, but that was fantastic, Mike.
So
That was
now I am really interested now to hear these hot takes, though.
Yes.
So it's not even so much hot takes. My number one trilogy of all time is absolutely the original trilogy. A New Hope is my all-time favorite movie, without question. Empire, very, very close. I love Return of the Jedi. This is where the hot take's going to come in because people are going to not like it. But if I was actually ranking my top trilogies of all time, the first three would be Star Wars. I love this franchise. I love this world so much that, don't get me wrong. Like I think Lord of the Rings is they're better movies and like the prequels and sequels and stuff. But because it is part of this world and it builds on this world that I love so much, would it be 1A, 1B, 1C? Without question. There's no doubt in my mind. I would pick it over any movie franchise or show or whatever. And I think a lot of them get much more flack and hate than they should or need to. But yeah, it would be 1, 2, and 3 would be. It would probably be original, probably prequels and sequels could go either way for me. But no, they're just. I can't say enough about Star Wars and George Lucas and say what you will about the prequels and sequels and Disney doing this. We're getting more Star Wars. We're building off of this original idea, the space opera that came out over 40 years ago, almost 50 now, which is crazy. And the fact, I wasn't even born when the originals came out, and I found them, I watched them, I love them. I'm literally sitting next to so many just Star Wars toys and books and stuff right now. It's got something for everyone. These three, especially these first three, I can watch them anytime. Arguably the movies I quote the most. I just love these movies. That's all I have. Yeah.
So were you saying a quick 1A, 1B, 1C? Are you talking about each Star Wars trilogy? Is your 1A? Interesting. So it's we talked about the prequels already. The sequels, listen, for myself and my family, The Force Awakens kind of got my whole family back into the theaters. Even before even the Marvel movies were going on, but I was seeing those. My whole family, like my dad and I was seeing those with friends and stuff. Force Awakens comes out, and I went with my father, my mother, and my sister. And then that's when my dad and I started seeing the Marvel movies as they were coming out. But Force Awakens, that was that might be my favorite theater experience because I'd never been part of a theater that was so reactive. And it was, in wrestling, there's the term of Mark who loves all the old stuff, who's a sucker for whenever The Rock comes back or Hogan or whatever. So it's like, that was, being a part of the theater when Han and Chewie show up in the first time in Force Awakens, everyone's cheering and clapping. So the trailer, arguably one of the best movie trailers. The Force Awakens, I think, because of what happened after, I think the general consensus, the sequels are so bad. But it seems like people forget how good Force Awakens was and what that did. Walking out of the next two movies, I did enjoy. And then maybe I let the critics and the popular opinions, get to me. With 2 and with 8 and 9, but to your point, there's people hated where Luke's character went. I'm curious to get your thoughts on Luke in episode 9, in episode 8.
I almost don't want to answer this because we've already been going for so long.
I know,
and I can go on for this for so much longer. But was it my favorite? No, but I understand it. And I get it. and it still fits for me the whole story. And
Well, that's what Mark Ruffalo, no, Mark Ruffalo, Mark Hamill also said in a couple interviews. Like, it wasn't the take that he would have done for Luke Skywalker, but it was the Luke Skywalker that the story needed to fit the world that was being built by the directors at the time.
Yep. Hot take. Oh, not a hot take. Really quick. Favorite Star Wars character? Go.
Make me last.
Oh God, no! Don't even get me going on. God.
I thought it'd be a quick answer for everybody.
I think I know.
it's
Okay,
so
Obi-Wan.
hard.
If we're taking the whole,
So there's no wrong answer.
I'm gonna go Obi-Wan, and Vader's close, and Luke and Han, but especially what Ewan McGregor brought to the character in the prequels, I think I gotta go Obi-Wan. It's come to my head right now.
That's fair. Solid choice. I grew up and still am, I'm a Mando. I'm a Fetman. So
Yeah, I was about to say I'm actually a huge I'm gonna botch his name. Darjan. The Mandalorian.
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin. He's my favorite as of late. Especially
Solid.
for how much
You
that
mean this guy.
yes.
I told you I got Star Wars stuff everywhere.
Yes, especially for like how much that show helped expand the universe even
It
more.
saved Star Wars.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And actually, if I have to really pick my favorite Star Wars character, probably has to be Cal Kestis.
Solid. Going video
Probably
games.
has
I
to
love
be.
it.
Dude, I just finished Survivor.
Great.
It was.
game.
I still need to dive in on more of the open world part of it because I just plowed through the story. But yeah, dude, Cal Kestis. Oh,
And I gotta say, I know we're going out of the original trilogy, but I think I agree. Mandalorian saved Star Wars after the sequels, but I think Rogue One.
I was joking. I'm sorry. I didn't actually mean that. Sorry, but continue.
No, but Rogue One was another awesome
Great film.
movie. Saw that in theaters too with my dad, and that is probably my favorite Disney Star Wars movie. We talked about Force Awakens, but I really enjoyed Rogue One and what that did, and I kind of had lower-ish expectation because you know how it ends, but what they did in that time frame to make you get invested, even though you know what's going to happen with these characters, was just so great. And bring it back to rock, Carl Weathers, his almost like his swan song was Grief Karga, Grief Karga, and what the Mandalorian did, and that's getting its own movie. So it's and none of this happens without that original trilogy and the idea that George Lucas created, with all these inspirations.
Movies literally changed everything. Honestly, I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm feeling Star Wars to the end of the episode coming up soon, guys. So just keep a lookout for it.
I like it. I can't wait to talk to you. Maybe a couple minutes off air what you're thinking, but I'd love to do a Star Wars theme, completely all Star Wars. I think unless you guys interrupt, feel free to interrupt. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This was fun. This is trilogies are hard. So I'm happy with how this came out. We had a lot of fun discussions. Thanks to chat for throwing in everything they brought tonight, and thanks for tuning in. Those who stayed the whole way.
And sorry again, guys, or guy, I should say. Sorry again, guy.
yeah.
So yeah, this was fun because this was a fun counter to the comic book franchise movies to turn into just comic book movies that have been the big thing in theater last 10 years plus. So to go back to what it was like before the big comic book movies was fun, and because of this, I finally watched the Rocky movies for the first time. So before we do our final farewells, Chris, thank you for. Chris and Chin, thanks for coming in, and this was a very fun video.
It was a blast. Had a great time. I love talking movies.
So there's no definite topic yet. There's another topic that guy suggested I'll bring to the guys. I forgot to do that in the pre-show, but I'll bring that to in the quick post-game wrap off air.
Oh, great one. Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Whew, so good.
Never
Yeah,
seen
we
those
already know the
movies.
answer, Mike. I already know the answer.
Guys, I'm probably gonna lose his subscription, his Instagram friend, and all that. I apologize, guy. Please, you are moderator now, though. I gave you the wrench.
He's gonna kick you out of your own chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, guy and everyone who tuned in, I really do appreciate it. Please, tell your friends, tell your family once again. I'm not trying to make a living off this, but to continue to grow subscribers would be pretty cool. And since I am, I have a lot of ideas in mind to keep this going. If not every week, every other week, or at least twice a month. Because I'm, fortunate to be, joined by two very knowledgeable, movie fans and music fans and good friends of mine. So it's a blast being able to, talk this stuff for, see, we did top 5 because look how long it went. And if we did top 10, we'd only be barely halfway through. So it's fun because I know these guys are both passionate about film and movies and all this stuff. So it really does mean a lot. So and it means a lot to see the chat and subscriptions and likes and comments, even if they're negative. We had a guy with 2 negative comments in our Beetle video, Chris. I texted Chris that. So if you do have any issues, please, write to your town councilman. And
No,
we'll
you
take
kidding
it from
me?
there.
Just comment it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Good, bad, comment it.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Let's talk about it. Let's get in an argument about it.
Yeah, don't save it for after the video. Unless if you're watching, obviously on the rewind, that's a different thing. But please, I have complete faith that I don't think any vicious arguments and debates will, arise from this. So I love how the chat's been active, keep being active for videos to come, and it's been fun. I'm happy we've been able to do these, these last couple of videos. And then, so that's pretty much, I'll let Chin plug some things and Chris plug some things, but yeah, keep the videos, unless guys, once again, Guy is the man for bringing on questions and bringing on more debate. So we'll keep, talking. Guy, please feel free to keep throwing stuff at us because we love taking it head on. But yeah, in regards to stuff I had to plug, keep, Instagram, Mike B. Spenson, Twitter, Mike the Beast 92. Yeah, keep, the likes, the comments, the shares, and all that fun stuff. Chris, what would you like to plug, if anything?
I mean, the usual. You could find me under the tag From a Little Town on basically, I think, every streaming service. And same thing for handles for Instagram, Facebook. I don't think I have a Twitter. I should probably think of getting a Twitter for that.
I just retweet animal
sorry,
stuff.
for X.
I'll still on Twitter.
But yeah, I got I'm almost done on my next EP. I can't wait to get the ground going to get that done and out. So, if you are on Spotify or you see my album popping up on Apple Music or Amazon Music under From a Little Town, just, the support is great.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely check it out. And Chin?
Oh, yeah. I don't really do social media. I don't like it. I have an Instagram. Don't use it other than talking to people. I don't post anything on it. But no, I do. I hang out with those guys over at 3 Men in a Basement a lot. Not a porn, just a cool channel about comics and toys and everything geek and unique. I believe there's going to be a live show, possibly Saturday, changing things up a little bit. But yeah, we're dropping videos. There'll be a new one out tomorrow. Yeah, so cool. That's what I do.
And then, yeah, to kind of branch off that, for those who are in the community, there's an awesome comic book convention if you're in the Northeast, King Con, run by our good friend Greg. It's King Kong 4. I think I've been to 3 out of. This will be my 3 out of the 4. I'm sorry, numbers. But it's a great show and it keeps growing. It's going to be at its 3rd venue. That's how big it's been getting. It keeps growing. Go and follow them, King Con on Instagram. There's been big name comic book creators that are going to be there. Chin and I will both be there. I'll be an honor. I'll be an honorary member of Three Men in the Basement, so that'll be a fun time.
Don't let them fool you with the title. They just want you to work the table. That's all it is.
I've accepted it.
That's how they wrote me in. You know, that Otto's a smooth talker.
He is. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to probably have a couple minutes offline to talk about possible next video. And obviously, stay tuned to my social media, and I'll let you know what the next one is. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.
Bye.
And